Hello, everybody. Hi. You all know I'm getting my tech issues sorted out. Be right back. Hello. Welcome. Gentlemen, I hope you stay on board because this topic, it may seem like it may not be about you all, but it has a lot to do with you all because many people are stepping up, many men are stepping up now and becoming the primary caregivers for their children while they're trying to run businesses and, be the breadwinners. So this topic is not just about moms. Hey, Renee. Leishan, hi. I'm going to give a little bit of time for people to come in. Good evening. We had a couple of people that were in the live stream, and they actually wanted me to talk about what they called mom guilt. And depending on who the audience is tonight, then that may be the direction that it goes. But I'm going to start off with it being parenting, basically, boss parents and dynamics dealing with that. And then I'm sure that it will move in the direction of the extra challenge that women have when they are trying to run a business and be a mother, basically. Trying to also make sure that the lighting is okay. Okay, what time is it? Hello, hi there, welcome. We're going to be talking about entrepreneurship and parenting and the challenges that come along with that, trying to find that balance. Can I see you? I can't see you. I see your icon and your message. Hi. Okay. Okay. You are so silly. That's one of my best friends, Leishan. Thank you for tuning in and supporting me this evening. While we wait for a couple of people, I know my dad is trying to get in here. I may have to go help him. It did make me laugh. You so crazy, girl. All right, let me see. Oh, hey, Uncle Paul. How are you? I'll be right back. I think I need to help my dad make sure he can figure out how to get on here. Did you get on? Go to your timeline. Your time is like the thing you can go to when you're looking at everybody's stuff. Okay, I'm back. I had to help my dad get in. All right. So, I think we should go ahead and, oh, the kids are good. They're good. They're actually getting ready for bed. They just had their showers. Okay, so, boss parenting. Boss parenting. Those of you all that are new to the group, this is a new group that I'm doing called Business Builder Basics. And basically, I'll be using this platform to talk about all things business, education, business, things to help people understand what it takes to get into business and stay in business and thrive in business. Basically just trying to share my experience, not as if I'm an expert, but just someone who has been doing this for a long time, and I feel like I can share with people things not to do and also things that I know to do to help people on their journey. I also want to encourage people that, you know, getting into business is very important. Having more entrepreneurs that are thriving and creating a sense of industry in the community is very important. So I'm serving as a consultant. The way it'll go, I'll start off with the topic that the audience has presented, or someone has contacted me directly and they said they want to know about something in particular. Then I'll make sure that I go on and talk about that. And so last night there were some ladies that wanted to talk about mom guilt, because, you know, being self-employed and being a mother can be difficult. So I want to start off with a book, and I don't think you'll be able to see it, but it's called The Science of Success, and it's by author Wattles. My dad picked up this store at the bookstore at Harvard University. This book was published in 1910, but I want to read something from it. And I hope you all can hear me clearly. It says, "A man's highest happiness is found in the bestowal of benefits on those he loves. Love finds its most natural and spontaneous expression in giving. The man who has nothing to give cannot fill his place as a husband or father, as a citizen, or as a man. It is in the use of material things that a man finds full life for his body, develops his mind, and unfolds his soul. It is therefore of supreme importance to him that he should be rich. It is perfectly right that you should desire to be rich. If you are a normal man or woman, you cannot help doing so. It is perfectly right that you should give your best attention to the science of getting rich, for it is the noblest and most necessary of all studies. If you neglect this study, you are derelict in your duty to yourself, to God, and humanity. For you can render to God and humanity no greater service than to make the most of yourself." So this book is interesting because it was written in 1910. Of course, the language, he's mostly talking about men, but today we're going to go ahead and apply this to women. Everyone has a right to be rich, and there is no shame in wanting to be rich. And in this book, he definitely distinguishes between rich money and rich, how some people describe them as being rich if they're fulfilled in certain areas. He's not talking about that in this particular book. He's talking about money, okay? And he's talking about everyone's responsibility to live their best life. You know, that's the catchphrase everyone's talking about now. Live your best life. So basically, if one is to try to fulfill their greatest potential and working on making sure that they are rich, let's replace the word rich so that we can, because some of us, when we think about rich, we think about like the old show Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, or we think about celebrity. We think about a certain level that feels like it's too far away from us to really understand it. But in rich, he's really talking about having means, ample means, basically, where you are wanting for nothing, all of your needs are met, and you continue to strive to get to the next level. So if everyone has a right to be rich, that means everyone, hey, Lamont, how are you? So if everyone has the right to be rich, that includes women, that includes parents. There's no exclusion here. Disabled people, people with mental illness, everyone has the right to try to live up to their fullest potential. Now, specifically the parent, you know, what does it mean for someone that has a child or has children and they're on this journey to being rich or to being of ample means? What does it mean for that person? Okay? Because the path is very different when you have children before you start a business. It looks a lot different than someone that waited and had children after their business was already established. Okay? It looks very different. Hey, how are you? Welcome. And so I'm going to ask 3 questions that I want you all, feel free to type in your answer or you can just think to yourself. But what constitutes being a good parent? We're going to take our time because silence is okay. People need to get comfortable with silence. What constitutes being a good parent? Think about what that means to you. Just in your mind, what immediately comes to mind? Okay? Now, the second question. What constitutes being a good entrepreneur? I'll give you some time to think about that. My third question, can you be good at both? Someone says being able to provide. That's one of the things that, love. Yep. These are the things that we think of. Being able to provide for your children, loving your children. That's very common. You're going to hear that answer very often. Okay? So, now remember, think about what constitutes a good entrepreneur. Same answer. A lot of people will give you some different answers for that one. Now, can you be good at both? Well, I know what I think. I think that there are some things you have to consider before you can answer those questions. Hey, Karina. Things you have to consider. I think you can be good at both, but I think there are levels to it. And I think that there's always going to be exactly, but you don't know if you can be great at both. You can be good at both, but can you be great at both? That's the level I'm talking about, okay? Now, it depends on what we're talking about here, because entrepreneurship is like a continuum. You can have, someone that is just, they may be running a one-woman show, they're working for themselves, and they don't have any employees or anything. They may not, it's just them. And then you can go all the way to the other end where you have like Apple, Microsoft, these type of companies, so, and anything in between. Now, can you be at the highest end of the continuum of being in business for yourself? And with being a parent, there's a similar continuum, because some people feel like others are better than others, so there is levels to that. Can you be on the best end of being a parent and be on the best end of being an entrepreneur at the same time? Like during the same time period. And the things to consider before I can answer those questions: what are the age of the children? Okay. How many children are we talking? Okay. Is there a support system in place? What is the quality of the relationship with the other parent or parents of your children? Are you a single parent? Are you co-parenting in separate homes? Are you single parenting and the absence of another parent? Like, these are all the things that, I have to think about. So, I think that depending on the answer to those questions, if you don't have too many children that are all very young and very dependent still on you for what they need with activities of daily living, and you don't have a support system, and you don't have a good relationship with the other parent or an adequate relationship, or you're by yourself, then I feel like, short of a miracle, it will be difficult to be Bill Gates when he was in that startup phase. Now, mind you, once there are levels to it, once you have actually built your business up to a point where it really doesn't even need you anymore, it may have gotten so big that you don't have to step in the building. You might just go to a board meeting here or there, but that might be the extent. So when you get to that level, I'm not really talking about that. But what I'm talking about, remember, this group is business builders basics. So we're building a business, meaning we haven't arrived yet. We're building kind of like from the ground up, or taking something that was already there and making it better, building upon it. What it takes to be able to build a business, a successful business of a certain size, in certain industries, in certain economy, there are so many factors that would have to line up for me to say that you can do it. But because stars are not always in alignment, I'd have to say that I think it's extremely difficult to be able to be good at entrepreneurship, great at entrepreneurship, and like soccer mom or father of the year. I think it's very difficult, depending on how you define what constitutes a good parent and what constitutes a good entrepreneur. And so when I ask the questions about what constitutes a good parent or entrepreneur, where do those answers come from? Those answers that automatically pop up in our head, what's the thought process behind that? What is it? Why are we thinking what we're thinking? We know what we think. We know what our opinions are. Do we know why we have those opinions? Well, societal norms have a lot to do with it, okay? Because you go back far enough, and women were not even allowed to work. So clearly, at some point, someone thought that, women either weren't capable or they shouldn't be working, earning, which would include, entrepreneurship. So societal norms definitely shapes the way people think. Okay, because if I had asked this question back then, first of all, I wouldn't be asking this question back then because I'm black and I'm a woman, and I would not be in the position that I'm in with the way things were back then to even have this type of audience and have this kind of platform to talk freely. But back then, the answer would have been very different. People believed a woman's place was in the home and that a man's place was to work and take care of the family. And while that might work, if you take certain personalities and insert those personalities into those roles, those people might be miserable, okay? Because I don't think women are born into the world thinking that they don't have the potential or ability to be in business or work. And I don't think men are born into the world thinking that they can't be a primary caregiver for their child and show a lot of affection, nurturance, and be able to change those diapers and get up in the middle of the night. So now we're living in a time where, people are thinking their minds are more open now, but there's still residual effects of the old school way of thinking. And because of those traditional roles, you almost feel like that you have to make a choice between being a good parent and being not just a provider, because we're talking about going beyond just providing. We're talking about building a business and becoming wealthy. Okay? So I think that it's very important for people to consider where they stand on this issue. And it's most important that the person, like me, it's most important how I feel about what type of businesswoman I am and what type of mother I am. So to be able to arrive at a place where you are comfortable in how you feel about your role as a parent and how you're doing in business, it's just most important that you are comfortable. But we cannot discredit the feelings, the concerns, the impact that it's having on other people, like our children or significant other or family. And so while it's important that we are comfortable with who we are and how we do things, it's also important to consider the whole dynamic that you have, okay? And so it's really hard, because the other day someone said something to me that it was, I won't say it was painful, because I don't really allow words like that to get to me as much anymore, but they know what I kind of do for a living, what I'm in school to do, and then they know, other things about me, and they told me that I was a fraud. They said I was a fraud because I do research on the importance of making sure children have what they need in the early stages of life. Okay, I do research on that, and I started a child care center, and I had like a mission statement that was out of this world, and I'm talking about how important it is that children feel love and get the attention. And on the other hand, because I'm building a business, it's almost like my own children were not getting all of those things that I knew were ideal in raising a child. And so while it was harsh for the person to actually say, I was a fraud, that was harsh. But what I do is when someone talks to me that way, or someone says something like that, I'll remove the harshness, and I'll try to see if there's any kind of truth behind the abrasiveness. And I can honestly say, no, I'm not a fraud. But what I have come to realize is that I do think when you decide to build a business, regardless of what you know to be right for your home and for your children, sometimes you get this idea that it's bigger than you, it's bigger than your spouse, it's bigger than your one household. And not that you're going to actually try to martyr yourself to try to save the world or anything like that, but you kind of understand or get this idea that, I feel like I have been blessed with a gift to do business, to create jobs in the community, to create facilities that provide care for people. And not everybody is able to do those things. And so if I've been given the gift to do those things, I almost feel like I have a responsibility to do those things. And it's not that I don't do them in my own life. It's just that I understand the bigger picture. The other thing is, when you're in business because you enjoy doing business, and that's just who you are, you're always going to be working or doing something, that's one dynamic. When you're in business because you have to work or you don't eat, that's a game changer too. Because regardless of what your children need, as far as globally what they need, you start to prioritize in your mind what's most important. And you get to thinking about food, clothing, lights, a roof over their head. You're thinking about these things. And then, of course, you're thinking about love, nurturance, and all of that. But you kind of have to prioritize, So it's very difficult when you're thinking about if you're doing the right thing by your own children and if you're doing the best you can for your business. Because it seems like when you do this whole by the book soccer mom model, when you try to do that, you won't have enough time to do what it takes to build a business. Because when you're in that phase, that go hard, tunnel vision phase, you're up all night sometimes. Maybe, sitting in one spot, researching something, doing something, and it's very difficult to get out of the zone, to get out of the flow. So the good thing with me is I've been blessed with the support system. Okay, so I also feel like what does a child need, and does it have to all come from me? Okay, does that love and nurturance and attention, does it all have to come from me? Or can there be a village to raise this child? Not that I'm absent, I participate, but is there a village? Are there other people, grandparents, aunts, uncles, godparents, sisters? I mean, are there other people there that can help fill that child's cup? And when the answer is yes, then the guilt trips need to go away. Because whoever said that it was one or even just two people's job to raise a child? Okay, because I believe although it was two people that chose to get together and make a child, I feel like from a universal standpoint, once that child is here, the family has a responsibility to pour into that child. And fortunately, I had that. I had that support system, and so I was one of the lucky ones because I was in a position I knew that if I had to pull an all-nighter, or let's say I'm at the child care center and I'm doing construction with my dad and we're there all day, all night, I don't even have to worry about, is there anybody that's going to pick my kids up? Are my kids going to eat? You know that it's covered, especially when you have the other parent where it's just like they just know you have your flow. because they know what you do and you know what they do, and you know the children's needs are being met. Now, does that always make for a bliss in marriage? No. No, 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 because a lot of times people can feel like they're doing more and get resentful, in either direction. And so, but if you know that the child's needs are going to be met, then I feel like you can still be considered a good parent if you put your children in a position to get what they need, even if it doesn't always come from you. So I think we need a paradigm shift in the way that we think about, parenting. I think that in order for those of us that haven't, we might have children and, you feel like, oh, you're not getting in the business because you want to be home with your child, or that your significant other may not approve. We need a paradigm shift because there are probably a lot of talented and capable people that are out there that could be going hard and doing some outstanding entrepreneur work, but they're stuck or stagnant because they might be a slave to their own guilt, their own mom guilt or daddy guilt, whatever. I don't like to leave the fellas out, but I don't really know that the concept of dad guilt is a thing. It probably is, but the thing is that mostly it has been understood that men would earn and not send to the children as much as the mother. And so that's why the mom guilt concept is a thing, because not only does the woman have to go through the woes of building a business and all of that difficulty, she also has to fight her own inner struggle about what she's supposed to be for her children. Like constantly having to reassess and reevaluate. I'm talking almost daily, in my opinion. I feel like there is not a day that goes by that I don't have to think about a choice of how to structure my day, whether or not that includes my children in it, a business opportunity, a school situation. Every day, I don't think a day goes by. And so a lot of times men came up not having those thoughts because it was just understood that that's what they would do. Now that women are given all these options, we have a lot more to think about, and it can be very stressful. I do think that people should, what I don't think is fair is that you have a dyad, right? A couple, and one person holds on to traditional gender roles, but they only apply it to their partner, while they themselves are not performing in the traditional role that was subscribed to them, if you understand what I'm saying. Now that is when you talk about hypocrisy and being unfair. If you do want your spouse to be the breadwinner, then help put them in a position to do so. If you want your spouse to be the primary caregiver, put them in the position to do so. Notice I'm leaving out the specific gender and which is which, because it can be either way now. I know there's a big push right now for women to start holding men accountable and saying, hey, let's go back to the old days because, we want you all to take care of us. We have the babies. You all take care of us. Let's go back to that. There are a lot of people that want to go back to that. There are a lot of people that don't want to go back to that. However, they want, if the roles are going to change, not just one person role is going to change. You can't have this one person, like the woman, for instance, evolving. She's still maintaining the traditional role of taking care of the children, and she's making boss moves. Okay? Or you're the man and you you feel like you want to be able to be there for your child, but your wife doesn't want to work. So you want more time with your child. Okay? You want to help clean up the house and those different things, but your wife prefers not to work. So that's when you run into problems with marriages and couples and people getting together, and it just doesn't work. It's very important that between those two people, they're happy and satisfied with how it's working. And right now, there's a lot of discontentment in that area. People are not on the same page. Women are really angry. Well, not every woman, but there's this, a lot of women are speaking out more about being angry that men aren't doing enough, or men are not being men anymore. I'm not really sure I even know what that means, because all of our roles are evolving. All of our roles are evolving. So, it's something to think about. So, can you address two bosses? So, when you have two bosses, let's say it's a power couple, the support system thing comes in. But if you have two bosses who are truly, I'm talking like boss up, like you're a power couple, then depending on what stage of the business you're in, you should be able to afford to pay for a lot of those things to be done. Okay? I don't cook. I pay a chef to cook. I pay, my mother and my sister will cook for me at times if they have time. My sister's very busy now, so she can't as often, but she makes sure she does it like at least once every other week or so. So I'm not cooking, and I know how to cook. I know how to cook well, but I'm not cooking. I'm not cleaning. You can pay somebody to clean, because if you are bossing up appropriately, then you're going to have the resources to do those things. You might even have a nanny. Okay, you might have a nanny. Even if you're home, you might actually have a nanny and a chef delivering meals. So two bosses, if you have two people that are really on that level, their trajectory is going to they're going to get to where they need to be quickly if they're both bosses that know how to work together. And they'll have so many resources that they can probably pay for all the relief and help that they need. That's my opinion on that. If they're in the early stages of business and they both happen to both just be building businesses separately or together in the beginning stage, then a support system is key. So, the main thing I think we need to do, despite what I feel, what the partner feels, let's not forget that these children, from the youngest of ages, they are paying attention. They're watching us. They are observing. They have their own feelings. They are becoming who they're going to be. They're like, don't let them just be on the sideline and you think that you and your partner or you have it figured out. You need to communicate with the children, and that's the point that I made on my notes. One thing I do with my children, and I've done it since I've talked to my children. They were so young, they probably didn't understand half the words coming out of my mouth. But I have been talking to my children since as long as they can understand that I am making noises at them, basically. And I'll speak in proper sentences, and I will use words, and I'll act like they're capable of understanding. And eventually they grow into an understanding. So here's how a conversation goes. Mommy, it seems like you're always working, or you're always studying at school. And I might say something like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'll make sure, what do you want to do? We can try to plan something. I'll make sure that we try to do something. And in my heart of hearts, I'm like, when am I going to have time to do that? Do I even feel like doing that? Do I even want to do that? But you actually you think about how you're going to meet the child's needs. But then I'll tell her, I'll say, well, just in case, I might have a busy week next week, finals are coming up, and I might pull an all-nighter. So daddy takes you to school in the morning, he's going to pick you up. By the time I get home, you'll be asleep. 3 days might go by like that, and I don't see my kids for 3 days. So I'll tell her, but she knows. She's gone. I've taken her and my son to my school. They've been on the campus. And I explained to them, mommy works this hard because I'm putting things in place so that you all can have everything that you want and need without excuse. I will not fail you. I will not fail you. And so when I'm out here and I'm working and I'm constantly thinking of new businesses and different ways to better myself and to strengthen my position, it is so that you can have all the things that you like. These things around here that you have, you want these things, this is how you get them. The other thing I do, besides just talking to my children, I involve them in the process of building the businesses way back to when, as soon as it was safe enough for them to be in the environment that I was in. I'm going to put a hammer in my child's hand. I'm going to, if I have to go and do construction and lay a floor, and there's nobody to watch them, then they have to be there with me. Fortunately, most of the time that doesn't have to happen, because I do have a support system, including their father, who will handle that. I remember what I was saying earlier, when there's someone there who will handle it, you almost take advantage of it, because it's going to get handled, but you feel okay with yourself about it because you know what you're doing. You know your contribution. You know that the unique things that you're bringing to the table is invaluable. Yeah, you bring them to the office. Exactly. You bring them along and you show them the process. You show them, mommy is not just out at the club, or, I'm not out just hanging out every other night, just simply because I don't want to be with you all. I'm 9 times out of 10 is because I'm busy or I'm resting. One or the other usually. I'm busy or I'm resting. And rest is very important. So you have to talk to your children. You have to include them in the process. You have to show them what it takes to build a business. I think with my oldest son, I think I scared him off because I had him so involved and he saw me work so hard that it actually made him think entrepreneurship wasn't sexy. And so he's like, I don't want to do that. I saw my mother do it, and it seemed like she just was about to kill herself working so hard. So it's a balance, basically. And you have to accept this. What I've come to grips with is that I am a certain type of mother. I don't really know what it looks like to be a mother that's not a boss, because I started progeny when I was 25 years old, and my teenager was 3 years old, and I had just separated and was going through a divorce. I don't know what it feels like to be able to sit back, kick my heels up, and just be a mother. I don't know how I would feel if I even had that dynamic. All I know is how I've been shaped and who I am now. And when you were constantly working hard and stressed and tired, your experience of parenting is I'm sure it's different than what it would be if you were not in that state of mind. Somebody took a picture of me. I don't remember if it was my dad, my husband, I don't know who it was, but when I gave birth to Angelica, payroll was due. And for some reason, I guess that was a task that I was taking on. I didn't have anybody else that was doing it. And I remember someone took a picture of me less than 24 hours after giving birth with a laptop, making sure that payroll got done. And it wasn't even a second thought. It was like, it's just what has to be done. I have a story that is so embarrassing to tell. But because I said I would be transparent here, I'm going to go ahead and tell you all. When my son was 3 in 2005, we just turned 2006, I had bought my first home. I moved into the home, and the home was going to be a home daycare. And I also had found the commercial building, and I had purchased 2 more properties and had an existing one running. So basically, I had all of a sudden had 5 businesses that I'm building up at one time. And there was a lot of work that needed to be done to the homes. And I remember I was laying a floor in the garage because we were converting the garage to what was going to be my office. My ex-husband, he had dropped my son off late Friday evening. And by the time he came back to pick him up Monday, because it was, I want to say it might have been during the summertime. And this is, guys, I'm just going to tell you what happened. I'm going to tell you. That much time went by. I was so involved in what I was doing. I was barely eating. I had lost a lot of weight. I remember that my son, he had eaten and everything, but his father called me furious, because he noticed that my son had the same underwear on that he had come to me when he had dropped him off with me. So that means he got there Friday night, went to bed. Saturday, all day, I'm working, no bath. Sunday comes around, I'm working, no bath. He comes Monday morning, same underwear on. That is one of the worst memories I have about being a mother and being a boss. And there are some people who can hear this story and be like, BS, that'll never happen. What kind of person is she? She is out of her mind. But that's a true story. That really happened. And I was so ashamed. And it's not like I was laying around getting high or laying around watching soap operas. I was so into my tunnel vision that I didn't keep track of, did I bathe him? Did he get a bath today? Did he, it was, that conversation didn't happen. And, part of that might be being a young mother. But I feel like it had just a lot to do with the tunnel vision that is required to be successful in business when you do it a certain way. Now, I put a lot on myself that I didn't have to. You do not need to go and try to start 5 businesses at one time. Yeah, he was safe, he was fed, he was chilling. Yeah, he wasn't in danger, but he had the same dirty drawers on. And me and his dad had just gone through a divorce. That's all he needed. I know he couldn't wait to call me and tell me about myself, and I deserved it. You can't be, and plus he didn't understand what I was doing. At the time, there were a lot of people that didn't understand what I was doing. I had quit my job with a 3-year-old. I know my family were right by my side, but I know they thought I was crazy. I know they was like, what is Charity up to now? Whatever. Let's just cheer her on, have her back, but I know he didn't understand. And even my second husband, he didn't understand. You know what I mean? It's like, here he is, someone who's just coming into the picture. I mean, he already knew me, but here he is coming into the picture, and we don't have, we didn't have children together at that point. So imagine if you're a man and you meet this woman and you see that she has failed to bathe her child for two nights. You're going to be thinking oh, and think about it. See, if he didn't get a bath, y'all know I didn't get a bath. Because if I would have thought to bathe myself, I would have thought that he needed one too. It was a mess. But let me tell you, those were some of the hardest times of my life. I remember some of the hardest work physically that I've ever done, some of the longest nights, and it was a mess. But that is definitely a mom guilt story for you guys. So now I just accept that I'm a certain personality. I'm a certain type of mother. I don't think I'm a bad mother. I think I could be a better mother. Um, but I feel like I bring something very unique to the lives of my children with the way they think, the way they operate. Um, you know, and so I've come to peace with what I do. I definitely feel very good about myself for the framework that's been created that supports my family. I definitely feel good about that. I definitely will take a lot of credit for that, um, because I was there for that, and being able to start something, build something, keep something going, that's hard. So I feel like being able to give my kids what they need and what they want is important. And that same child that was in the dirty drawers for 2 nights, my baby just got his first job, and he's up at MIT, and he's not like this bad, horrible person. He was not a bad teenager. So when and I don't take full credit for who he became, but it just shows you that he got what he needed. He got what he needed. There might have been a couple of days where, somebody was slipping, or somebody might have had McDonald's for lunch and Taco Bell for dinner, but look at where he is now. And part of why he's there is because of the sacrifices and the hard work that went into making sure the resources were available for him to get there, leading all the way up to that time. The same time that, he was sitting around in the dirty drawers, I had also had the presence of mind. Once I finished laying the floor in the garage, I would take the time to enroll him in apply for the Johns Hopkins Center for Talented Youth. And so it's like, it comes in spurts, basically. The consistency doesn't seem like it's there, but the things that you do to set your children up for success, it might be kind of like that. Whereas you might have the other parent who's very steady and reliable with certain things, and you begin to count on that. But then the things that I sprinkle in there, I think that's what helps, I think that's what helps your children grow up to be good people and be successful. So yeah, dirty draws Brian is up at MIT right now, and I feel good about that. So just accept who you are as a parent. Recognize what you can do better. Try to be considerate of your mate and their feelings, as long as they are respectful and reasonable. Don't beat yourself up. Be very careful about trying to bend and twist and change and contort yourself to please someone else, like a grandparent or a spouse or something. Be careful about listening to their opinions about who you are as a parent, because if they're not right in certain ways, if they may have some stuff with them that doesn't have anything to do with you. So just, take the meat, spit out the bones in situations like that, and try to always do your best. Don't let your inner voice derail you. And that's the last note that I have. So now we can open it up. McDonald's. Yeah, that was a true story. McDonald's for lunch, Taco Bell for dinner. Hey, I like the Doritos Locos. I don't feel like it's a punishment when I have to stop and get those. My body feels like it's a punishment. My blood pressure does. But yeah, there definitely been days my kids they've had way too much junk. Saying, Mom, yeah, please stop talking about my drawers. Yeah. He's just like, oh my gosh. I know he's like, Mom, what are you doing? It wasn't his fault. He was only 3, so none of the girls or his friends can blame him for it. So what do you guys think about all of this? I'm not asking you all to share your stories. Hey, it's good to see you, Tanisha. How are you? How are you? So, what are you guys thinking? Can you be a guilt-free boss mom, a guilt-free boss dad? You're a bomb mom. Thank you. I mean, you're not really in the mix with me to be able to say that for real. But you right. You right. Thank you. Thank you. Now I know. Let's just wait. This little dirty draw story is going. I hope this doesn't go viral. Y'all, look, my son, he's still a minor. Y'all gonna have child protective services at my door. Like, ma'am, we got reports that you're unfit. I'm just like, okay, let's not do that, folks. What is the name and author of the book? Okay, so the book is called The Science of Success, and it includes 3 smaller books into one, which is The Science of Getting Rich, The Science of Being Well, The Science of Being Great. I am halfway through the book. Let me warn you that the views in here, I don't share all of the views. I look at stuff like this and I look at certain parts that resonate with me. And what I'll probably do is when I do these live streams, if I have a book, I'll tell you about it, tell you what I know about it. I may use excerpts from it. But you can tell this was a man from 1910 that wrote this. And it's funny because my dad made mention of the fact that my dad is a person who, if it's a book that's been written, he's read it, period. So he thought it was funny that he had never heard of this book and hadn't seen it anywhere. But when he went to visit the campus of Harvard University and he found this book. The author is Wattles. Last name Wattles. Wattles. The Science of Success. The first chapter, he starts off saying, you have the right to be rich. He even goes as far as to say, if you're not trying to get rich, you're abnormal. He has some strong views. He really does have some strong views. I don't agree with all of them, but for the excerpt that I read, I feel like it proved the point that in your pursuit of trying to get money, for some people, I know for myself, it's for my children. It's for my children. Because I'm not really sure that I don't know that I'll ever see the fruits of my labor to the level that I know that it can go generations down. I don't know, maybe, I'm hopeful. I'm still going to go hard, but I may not see the benefit within my lifetime. Meaning I might have to continue working hard to the day that I die so that my children don't have to. You see what I'm saying? But I wouldn't justify neglecting or ignoring them. But when you are in a pursuit of wealth, it's one of the greatest gifts you can give because you need money to survive. And I could be the type of mother that, yeah, I could be baking brownies, doing homework every night, taking kids to soccer and all those things. But if I come home and our stuff is sat out on the street because we've gotten evicted, right? Or there's no more soccer because I can't afford to pay the fees associated with it, or I can't get you to practice because the car is repossessed, or I don't have gas money. Those are excuses I don't ever want to have to give my children. I don't ever want them to have to go through that. I'm not saying that would never happen, but I'm going to try hard to not let that happen. And to me, that's what this looks like. Yeah, to know your why. The company is progeny, and that means offspring. Okay? So from the day that I started, I knew that I had been inspired by my parents. I was their offspring. I was inspired by them. And I knew what I wanted for my little one. I only had one at that time, and I didn't even think I was having any more children. But I knew what I wanted for him. because I felt like I had been grooming him for greatness since he was in the womb. Yeah, hey, Keish. I actually just recently started doing this because I have some time on my hands now because I have a break from school. And I had been watching like social media and seeing this wave of live streams, and I felt like there are a lot of people that are sending messages out and talking about things, and I'm like, I have a story to tell people might want to hear. I know people want to know how to get this money, and I may not be able to assure you that you're going to get some money, but I can assure you that I have a lot of good ideas and a lot of strategies to tell you about on how to get some money. And I think a lot of people would appreciate hearing that from somebody that looks like them, somebody that they actually walked the halls with in high school and know that, hey, she was no better than me. We were at the same place. So that means that person also could maybe see themselves pursuing a doctorate or running their own businesses. Sometimes when it's a little closer to home and it's somebody that looks like you or somebody you know, it makes you a little more hopeful. So I'm going to be doing these videos for as long as people are asking me about topics. You will see my face while I have this time. The first video I did 3 days ago was about how to start a daycare because somebody I went to high school with reached out to me and they asked me if I would mind sharing that with them and the pros and the cons. And I got that question a lot. So I'm like, let me go live, save the video, and I can reference people to the video if they really want to know about it. And then I was like, what else do you guys want to talk about? And so last night I did tax preparation tips, trying to show people how to get more money back with simple things. And then last night, they said they wanted to talk about mom guilt. So here we are talking about dirty draws. So it's whatever you guys really want to hear about, as long as it's within the realm of business or education, wealth management, finance. Those are the things that I'm willing to speak on. This really isn't going to be a channel with drama, although some of the stories that I'll share with you in my pursuit of business, it may be some comic relief in there. I encourage everybody to try to start a business. If everybody tried to start a business, then our communities, you wouldn't see all these empty complexes, like all these storefronts will be empty, like maybe back 15 years ago, 20 years ago, that whole strip mall would have had a little business running out of it, and now there's nothing there. And that's happening all throughout PG County. I know it happened in my hometown where I was born. Detroit, Michigan became like a ghost town. You see, with monopolization and big business doing what it does to sabotage and oppress people that don't have money, it is hard to find opportunities and to figure out ways to survive. But if we got smarter about how we spend our money, how we treat one another, how much time we waste, if we become more conscious, think about how often are you smoking weed, how often are you getting drunk, how often are you at the club, how often are you chasing a man, how often are you fill in the blank. If we could really restructure our time and our efforts in the right direction, we could build up our communities and be self-sustaining. We wouldn't have to worry about monopolization. We can't get mad at these big companies that's doing it big and just sit back and act like we can blame someone else. No, it doesn't quite work that way because there's opportunity out here. There's abundance out here. Yeah, let me tell you So this marijuana thing and the the opiate epidemic and all that, because I'm not judging anybody, okay? But because I study the brain now, I have a different outlook on what mind altering substances do to you. There can be benefits, but oftentimes if you're in an altered state of mind, depending on how often you do it, how strong it is, all that kind of stuff, you're not going to have the cognitive ability to do what it takes to pop in business or to get anything off the ground. You're going to be like in a haze. You're going to be, for the most part, lazier than you would have been, because you could be doing those things and not be lazy, but you would be better without those things for the most part, for most people, depending on what the situation is. And so the way that we spend our time, the way we spend our money, one of the videos I'm going to do real soon, even though I'm not a pro at all, not even close, but I at least want to let people know that they should look in this direction and start studying up on it. But, investing in stocks and things like that, they've made it so simple now. You can actually get yourself an Acorn account. You can get yourself a Robinhood account, an app right on your phone. And you can, instead of getting a $5 cup of Starbucks coffee every day, skip that and put that $5 into that Acorn account or put it into the Robinhood account and watch your money grow. Or it might not grow. It may go down. But the point is, anytime you're dealing with the stocks, and depending on how you're using it, if you have like a long-term goal you're looking at, usually you can expect like steady growth, about 10%. If you're talking about leaving it in for like at least 10 years. But if you want to like do something where you're really like taking chances and taking risks, the money that goes in there should be money you can live without, that you're willing to lose. Like if you went gambling, and played the slots or whatever, if you put that money in, you might not get it back. That's how you have to look at stocks, and you have to be careful too. But if you're getting a $5 cup of coffee every day and you're hitting a J every day, that equates to about maybe a $5 J, depending on, and you're also getting yourself a bottle every other day. You just add that up. Eating out, happy hour, Gucci, Fendi, Prada, all those type of things, going to the clubs and spending 3 times the amount for a drink, and you're not just doing it once in a while, but you're actually like, that's just what you do. People think they don't have the money or the resources to get in business, but there are a lot of areas people could cut corners so that they can actually start doing something, basically. Yeah, stocks. Let's see, can you imagine where I would be if I was sober this whole time? Girl, no regrets. It is good to reflect because it can help you to prevent yourself from continuing on a path that it holds you back. It could be an addiction. It can be a relationship. It can be, it's a lot of things that can hold people back. And you look at how much time you spent wrapped up in that thing or that person or certain dynamics that you just won't let go. Then when you see what you're capable of when you're at your best or getting close to being at your best, yeah, you start to get a fire under you, like, I don't want to waste any more time. I want to get to the goal quicker, and any dead weight or anything that's making it harder or anything that may sabotage the situation, you got to cut it out. It's easier said than done. I can't tell you how to cut it out, but I know that anything that's happening like that in a person's life, they need to cut it out. Figure out how to cut it out. Any more questions, comments? And any questions, once I'm done with the main topic that someone requested, then at the end I do Q&A, and it can be any business topic. It can be any question. I hope I didn't miss any questions, because right now I'm using my cell phone and the text is really small. I think I've seen most of your comments. Also, forgive me in advance if you join the group and I don't acknowledge you personally. When it's like a lot of people coming in and out and it's being pushed up, I don't always get to see it. And if I'm in the middle of saying something, I don't want to aggravate the audience by stopping what I'm saying and saying hello to everybody. Oh, Barbara came in today. Barbara is, and I always give them a shout. I give them a shout out every single time. The Women Presidents Organization. Every night I've gone live, I've seen at least 2 of their faces on my live stream, and I'm honored. That's all I can say. I'm honored. I don't mean to sound like a groupie or anything, but I look up to those women. Those women have gotten to a level where I know I can do better. And I mean, there's the chapter that I was a part of the DC chapter, and the woman that was in charge of the DC chapter, I swear I maybe had only had about 2 to 3 conversations with her, and she was able to tell me quickly what most of my problem was, and it was me and my attitude towards business, towards employees. Basically, she was able to call it out. And so when you spend time with millionaires at penthouses in Manhattan, it's not the material stuff you're really looking at, although you look at that too. You're looking at these women within your reach, having a conversation, and you know that you could do that. You could be there one day. That's what you can do. It's very important to surround yourself with people that are doing what you want to do. And most of them, I don't know that I've met one yet that didn't have children. Okay, so that's very promising. And the thing, because a lot of them I was on the younger end of the group. I was young in age, and my business also was on the younger end, as well as on the smaller end with gross revenues. You had different levels to it, basically, but being in the rooms with them, it was very helpful, because you're like, wow, that's all I can say. So thank you, WPO sisters, for coming to see what I'm talking about, because you all, I feel like, are a step up. And right now, the people that I expected to see as my audience would be people who want to get closer to the level where I am. But I can see that really anybody might tune in and see what I'm talking about and what I have to say and what other people are talking about. So I appreciate these conversations. And as I said, I have some extra time on my hands because of a situation going on with my school. So I have some time, actually. Normally, I wouldn't have had enough time to do this every night, but I can now for a little while. Let's see. Have anybody else have any questions? I'll hang out for a while, because what I noticed last night is that people were kind of coming in over time. So when you're ready to leave the group, of course, go ahead and leave the group when you're done, if you've gotten what you need out of it. Thanks for coming. Inbox me if you want me to talk about a particular topic. The industries that I have experience with are assisted living for disabled adults and elderly, child care at the center level. What is the next topic? Well, this is what I'm getting at. I'm letting them know what I'm able to talk about. So we have child care, we have hospitality, I must have missed your question, LeSean. What was your question? Because, like I said, this writing is so small. Let me see. Oh, I see it. Oh, with suggested topics. Okay, so you can text me. You can, if you have my number, you can text me. If you don't have my number, you can inbox me on Facebook. I'm always looking at Messenger as things pop up. But you can just inbox me and say, hey, I want to join the group, or I want to, I want to hear about how to open up a group home, or how do you market to get residents, or how do you I want to turn my house into a B&B. And then I'll say, okay, well, let me go live and I'll talk about that. Anybody who's interested in those topics can tune in. Also, clinical psychology is my background, and my research is neuro. So I'm looking at how the stage of early childhood is very critical because things that happen in childhood actually changes the brain, and it changes, it basically affects what you're going to do, or what you're probably going to do for the rest of your life based on simply brain structure. So it's an emphasis on early childhood adversity and things like that. That's part of how that fraud comment, the fraud comment that I told you about earlier, that's how that kind of came about, because the person could look at me and be like, how are you doing research on giving children the very best of your time and attention and love, and you barely want to spend time with them? Or that's where like a comment like that can come in, because I am very fascinated by it and I do believe in it. Anything else? It looks like, talk about the jewelry. Oh, you noticed. I appreciate that. Actually, this jewelry, because my ears are very sensitive and I kind of started moving away from cheap jewelry, this comes from, there's a necklace here. Hey, Devin. There's a necklace that goes with it, and there's these bracelets here. The Swarovski crystals. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but it's custom made jewelry. Custom made. So, and the materials that they use, like this part, like right here, it'll be like sterling silver or white gold, or it won't be something that's just plated, and so it doesn't make your ears hurt when you wear it. So it's called, the company is Compliment Jewelry. Once I get skilled with going live and knowing different things I can do, I'll start to maybe add in links, or like the way I reference this book, I may be able to figure out how to put text in the video so that if somebody goes back to the video, they'll see it. But one thing I would like to do, I don't mind doing it for free right now, is promoting other businesses. They don't have to pay me to promote them on, when I go live. So, Compliment Jewelry. I've had these on all day, and it like doesn't even feel like I'm wearing them. You know how it starts to hurt right here? Even if the earring isn't heavy, it starts to hurt like it's something foreign that doesn't belong there. Yes, a businesswoman always has to look good. Well, in theory, when I do stuff like this, I will see to it that I look nice. But I'll be honest, a lot of my other videos where I would show you guys when I was in the middle of renovating or decorating things, I was looking a hot mess. Compliment jewelry. It's actually COMPLEMENT. Compliment, like how something complements something, complimentary, like something goes with something. Not a compliment like, hey, you look nice, but compliment, like, oh, that lipstick really complements your complexion. Compliment jewelry. They have a website, just Google it. They do, so they have jewelry that's already made, of course. It's handmade. They also can do an order. So, like, let's say you're a bride or something and you want something unique and special. You can tell them, like, give them an idea of what you want. They can make it. It's a little more expensive than, it's definitely not Claire's. You're not going to pay for Claire's. This is definitely for a person who doesn't mind putting a little bit of money into their jewelry. Nothing crazy, but just not Claire's, basically. So I have 3 people watching. I can't tell who the 3 people are. I'll wait to see if comments pop up. Charisha is my little sister, by the way. Do they make sports team jewelry? Yes, actually, that's one of their, like, I don't know if you would call it signature things, but they do these bracelets that'll have like a like your favorite sports team logo on it, and they can look feminine and they can look masculine, and I believe they're featured on their website. Those are very popular. Those sell a lot. There's this one piece that I really love. I did not buy it, but I do want to buy it. There's only one, so it's like the prototype, but it's called the bow tie, and it has these onyx stones that are shaped shaped kind of weird. So it's like 2 of those, and it's like 1 pearl in the middle, so it ends up looking like a bow tie, and then it's pearls around, so it's a choker that looks like a little, like, bow tie almost. But bow tie is spelled not like B-O-W, it's spelled B-E-A-U, like a bow, like your lover bow. So the bow tie basically is supposed to be a play on words, I guess. I'll see if I can grab one. Because at the time that I wanted one, there was only one, and that was the prototype. So I guess they didn't want to give it away. But I felt like it could be really popular. It was really pretty. Anything else? I think everyone must be satisfied. No more questions. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Oh, I think it's just family. I think you're right. Yep. Thanks, family, for always supporting me as usual. And I'll be tuning in. More than likely, if I get requests, I'll be tuning in tomorrow. Same time, same place. Thank you. Thank you, honey. All right. So y'all boss up out there.